The Galactic Council condemned a helpless 12-year-old human girl to 2,000 years of slavery. Earth falls. The skies over Earth burned red as the Galactic Council's warships descended. Their sleek, angular design shimmered with unearthly metals as beams of energy rained down, turning cities into ash. The Council had arrived not for conquest, but punishment. Humanity, a young and defiant species, had refused to bow to the Council's demands for tribute, a mistake that would cost them dearly. Livia was only 12 when her world was torn apart. Her family's farm, nestled in the once quiet hills, was obliterated in a single strike. She had survived by sheer chance, hiding beneath the charred remains of a water tank. When she emerged, dazed and covered in soot, she was met with the cold, unfeeling eyes of the Council's enforcers. The sentence was swift and merciless: slavery. Thousands of humans were shackled and hauled into transport ships, their fates sealed. Among them was Livia, a child whose small frame and wide, tear-filled eyes made her appear utterly helpless. But appearances could be deceiving. The arena, the citadel, loomed like a colossal monolith in the heart of the Galactic Council's domain. Its halls were a cold labyrinth of steel and energy, pulsing with the hum of ancient power. Within its core lay the arena, a place of blood and spectacle where slaves fought to the death for the amusement of the Council's elite. Livia stood at the center of the arena, her bare feet pressed against the chilled steel floor. Around her, the stands teemed with alien dignitaries, creatures of all shapes and sizes, their eyes gleaming with a mix of curiosity and cruelty. To them, she was nothing more than a diversion, a fragile human girl destined for a quick, humiliating end. Her first opponent emerged from the shadows, a hulking creature with glistening black exoskeleton and razor-sharp claws. It let out a guttural roar, the sound echoing off the walls. The crowd erupted in cheers, eager for the bloodshed to begin. Livia's hands trembled as she looked around, searching for anything that could be used as a weapon. Her gaze fell on a glowing green sword embedded in the arena floor, its blade humming faintly. She didn't know why, but she felt drawn to it. The beast charged. Livia dove to the side, the claws missing her by inches. Scrambling to her feet, she sprinted toward the sword and gripped the hilt. A surge of energy coursed through her, and for a moment, she felt as though the weapon was alive, responding to her touch. The crowd roared louder as she turned to face the beast, the sword's green light casting an eerie glow across her face. The first kill. The creature lunged again, its claws slashing through the air. Livia swung the sword awkwardly, the blade slicing through one of its limbs. The beast howled in pain, black ichor spraying across the floor. The weapon felt impossibly heavy in her hands, but it moved as if it knew where to strike. The fight was brutal, messy, and desperate. Livia ducked and weaved, her small frame allowing her to evade the creature's attacks. Finally, with a burst of strength, she drove the blade into the beast's chest. The glow of the sword intensified, and the creature let out one final, piercing scream before collapsing. Silence fell over the arena. Livia stood there, her chest heaving, the sword trembling in her hand. The creature lay dead at her feet, its lifeless eyes staring into the void. The crowd erupted into cheers and jeers. Some were impressed, others angry that a mere human had survived. High above, in the Council's private box, Counselor Zorro leaned forward, his luminous skin reflecting the dim light. He was the architect of these games, and his sharp eyes gleamed with a mix of irritation and intrigue. "Interesting," he murmured. "Let's see how long she lasts." The champion. Word of Livia's unexpected victory spread quickly. Over the next few days, she faced more opponents, each stronger and deadlier than the last. She survived not through strength or skill, but sheer determination. The sword, which she later learned was called Soulvicar, seemed to amplify her willpower, giving her the edge she needed. Her victories did not go unnoticed. The crowd began to chant her name, and the Council, now fascinated, decided to send their most fearsome warrior, the Thorokian warmonger. When the warmonger entered the arena, the air seemed to grow colder. The creature was a towering mass of cybernetic muscle, its glowing eyes filled with malice. It carried an energy axe that crackled with electricity, each swing capable of cutting through solid steel. "Submit, human," the warmonger growled, its voice a metallic snarl. "Your defiance ends here." Livia didn't flinch. Her grip on Solviker tightened as she prepared to face her greatest challenge yet. The battle was unlike anything she had faced before. The warmonger's attacks were relentless, each strike shaking the arena floor. Livia moved with every ounce of speed and agility she could muster, the sword guiding her strikes. It was as if Solviker knew the warmonger's weaknesses, urging her to attack at precise moments. Finally, with a desperate leap, she plunged the blade into the warmonger's core. The creature let out a deafening roar before collapsing in a heap of sparking metal and blood. The crowd's reaction was a mix of shock and awe. Livia, battered and bloodied, raised the sword in defiance, her narrow eyes meeting those of Counselor Zorel. "Is that all you've got?" she shouted. The escape. That night, in the solitude of her cell, Livia was visited by a mysterious figure, cloaked in shimmering robes. The being introduced itself as Vren, a member of the Enclave of Shadows, a secret resistance group fighting against the Council. "The sword you carry is no ordinary weapon," Vren said. "It is a relic of the ancients, a beacon of power and hope. The Council will stop at nothing to take it from you." Livia frowned, her exhaustion momentarily forgotten. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you've done what no one else could. You've defied them, and if you join us, you could inspire an entire galaxy to rise against their tyranny." Livia hesitated. She had spent years as a slave, believing she was powerless. But now, with the sword in her hands and a spark of rebellion in her heart, she felt something she hadn't in years: hope. "What do you need me to do?" she asked. "The rebellion begins." Vren and Livia's escape from the Citadel was a daring feat. Alarms blared as the two navigated the labyrinthine corridors, evading guards and security drones. Livia, now confident in her abilities, used Solviker to cut through obstacles and enemies alike. When they reached the transport bay, a squadron of guards intercepted them. Livia fought with a ferocity that surprised even herself, the sword moving with an almost sentient precision. With Vren's help, she boarded a waiting ship and blasted off into hyperspace, leaving the Citadel and her chains behind. Their destination was a hidden moon where the Enclave of Shadows had established their base. The Resistance, though small and scattered, was determined to fight back. Livia, with her victories in the arena and her connection to Solviker, became a symbol of hope for enslaved species across the galaxy. The final battle. As the resistance grew stronger, the Galactic Council responded with ruthless force. Entire fleets were dispatched to crush the rebellion, but Livia and her allies fought back with cunning and determination. With each battle, they liberated more worlds, rallying countless beings to their cause. The war culminated in a massive assault on the Citadel itself. The Resistance fleet, now a formidable force, faced off against the Council's armada in a battle that shook the stars. Livia led the ground assault, her sword blazing with green light as she cut through wave after wave of enemies. Inside the Citadel, she confronted Counselor Zorel, the architect of her suffering. Their battle was fierce, the Counselor wielding his own relic, a staff crackling with raw energy. But Livia's determination proved stronger. With a final, devastating strike, she shattered the staff and drove Solviker through Zorel's heart. The Citadel fell, and with it, the Galactic Council's grip on the galaxy. A new dawn. The galaxy began to rebuild, its peoples free for the first time in centuries. Livia, though hailed as a hero, chose to step away from the spotlight. She returned to Earth, helping her people rebuild and reconnect with the stars. But she kept Solviker by her side, a reminder of the battles she had fought and the freedom she had won. Though her journey had begun as a slave, Livia had risen to become a warrior, a leader, and a symbol of hope for the entire galaxy.